Good morning, and welcome to our day 6 meditation. And we've been on this journey this week of letting go and being able to recognize the areas that we are hanging on and what that means, and being able to open. Today, we're talking about making space for something new, because it's not automatic. And oftentimes when we're in this space of letting go, that emptiness, that void, the unknown, and the not knowing is really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable to sit with that. And one of the things my mentor would say often is, I don't know is the best place to be. But I think it's important to talk about that place a little bit, because when we relinquish control, when we let the identities unravel, when we allow these things to shift, there is this season that happens after that, if we allow it, where we feel so unfamiliar. It's like, now what? If I'm not that, who am I? If that relationship leaves or shifts, or that dynamic's different, what do I do now? And it's really uncomfortable, because it's super unfamiliar to sit in that place of something new. And one of the other things that I think is kind of interesting and ironic a little bit, is that for a lot of us in that space, we've now created a clean slate. And that is so freaking uncomfortable, because a lot of us have never really asked ourselves, what do I want? What do I want? And even past not asking ourselves, we've never been given permission to really live a life that we want. And so all of a sudden, when that blank page shows up, there's a little bit of a freak out moment of like, what do I do with this? Or I don't even know what I want. And so it becomes a little bit paralyzing, because that blank page feels like it's begging to be filled, and can feel overwhelming to know what to fill it with. And what's coming up is, there's this cutest little children's book that we have called The Dot. And they're in art class, and this one little kid doesn't know how to draw. He says he doesn't know how to do all of that. And pretty soon he's encouraged to just put a dot. And so he does, and then the teacher says, now sign it. And he just kind of sits there like, well, that's not art. She's like, heck yeah, now sign it. And so then he goes on and he creates like a whole elaborate array of pictures just using dots. And it's this beautiful expression that he's found just using dots. And by the end, like, the moral of the story is like, it's only the mind that has this idea of what you should be filling this beautiful blank slate with. But it doesn't have to be elaborate. It's just a beginning. And oftentimes in that space, It's actually more about just sitting with the blank page for a while. And again, trusting that your next move is going to bubble up organically. Because when your soul's in charge, and when you're connected into the divine, and you're listening from that deep space of wonder, you're just guided. You don't have to stress that you're going to miss it, because you're never going to miss what's yours. And so today, when you're, settling into making space for something new, we talked yesterday about opening your fist, but then just sitting there with your palm open, just feeling what it feels like to be open, and watch the habit and the pattern and the draw to go back to what's familiar, because it's so uncomfortable to just sit in the openness. Watch the way that the mind would prefer to go back to dysfunction or constriction or your self-imposed prison, because it's so unfamiliar to sit in this space of openness, of creativity. And that's another, part, I would say, of opening to something new and creating space for it is, a lot of us, as we grow up and become more and more and more constricted, we really lose our creativity. And so that's another big caveat, or maybe catalyst, is probably a better word, to being able to open, is going back to those things that light you up. And I can't tell you how many times in my office people will say, I don't know what lights me up. And so some of your biggest clues is if you can go back to what lit you up as a child. And it might show up a little bit differently now, but oftentimes the things that you were really excited about as a child will be the things that light you up now. And so for me, I loved being outside. And so being outside is magical for me. And I loved painting and coloring. I loved coloring. And so being able to free up some time to do that. And I loved imagining. And that has actually been really challenging to get back to. I had to face for quite a while how difficult it was for me to pretend with my kids, and how much that'd been shut down. But yesterday it was my daughter's birthday party, and I created a whole scavenger hunt around Harry Potter because she loves it. And we had 6 classes they went to, and I got to pretend all day long, and it was so fun. And so I'm here to tell you it's possible. It's possible to unravel to that place where you come back online, but it's really uncomfortable pretending again and moving into that place until it's not. So today, go ahead and take a deep breath and begin to settle in. And even from the beginning, the invitation is however you've held your hands up until today, can you put them palm up today? Can you put them into a state of openness, a state of receiving? And right from the get-go, see what that feels like. Does it feel good? Or is there this interesting affinity to want to turn them around and put them palms down? And just notice that exchange, and even the subtlety of how you put your hands. Is it uncomfortable to sit in a position that's really open? And then can you encourage your entire body to follow? Because opening to something new is not passive. It means actively opening your body and your heart and your muscles, and just taking a moment to ask your body, how do you feel when you're open? What does an open jaw feel like? An open throat? Open and receptive shoulders? Open and receptive back and chest? Open and receptive arms, hands and fingers? An open and receptive tummy, hips, legs, down to the knees, through the calves, down to the ankles. Open and receptive feet and toes. And what does it feel like to feel open? Does it feel vulnerable? Does it feel peaceful? If it does feel peaceful, how do you feel about the peace? Does that feel good? Is it uncomfortable? Is it foreign? Because making space for something new is oftentimes not very fun at first. It feels kind of strange. And so as you settle into this space, connecting with your body, connecting with your soul, ask your soul that deep question, that deep underlying question. What are you wanting to create? Where are you wanting me to go from here? And just listen. Today is our day for a little longer meditation. So can you just listen? What is your soul calling you to? And watch the affinity of the mind to go back to what's familiar, to go back to familiar thoughts, or for the body to go back to that safe space, to want to turn the hands back over so it's more grounded and safe and protected, to want to shrink back into a more constricted position because it's protected. But with me today, see if you can step in to that active role of creation, of remaining open, even if it's unfamiliar. Where do you need permission to show up fully? Can you write that permission slip now? Place your dot and sign it. Ask your body and your soul to show you what would your life look like to live from this place that your soul's yearning to go. And can you really go into it, embody it, visualize, and feel what it would feel like to really live in that place? And just observe, because it's usually not all rainbows and unicorns. Maybe there's thoughts of doubt. Maybe there's an energy that that'd be great, but that's not possible. Maybe there's a resistance to feeling that alive. Maybe it doesn't feel safe. And can you just observe all of those thoughts with compassion? Not from a place of wanting to change it or wanting to make it go away, but just watching the pattern. Wow, I see the pattern. And can you hold it in a place of love? I know you felt those things because you've been hurt or you've been trying to protect. So can you hold them in love as you allow them space to soften? Because creating something new doesn't happen overnight. It's a moment by moment by moment, choosing to come back home to you. It's just one dot at a time. What's showing up now is it's an active choosing to create space for you. So asking your soul, what would it look like to create some more space to connect with me? And can you position that at the beginning instead of the tail end of your priorities? What would it look to prioritize my own self-care, my own soulful desires first? And how would really showing up for me impact my whole world? Let it be shown to you. You can see it. How would it impact my whole world if I really allowed myself space to fully show up for me? mind begins to wander, observe that. You're still human, it's normal, and it's still gonna arise. And make the choice to come back to you. And if you have to do that every moment of this entire meditation, that's okay. It doesn't need to mean anything except for look at how amazing you are to keep showing up for yourself this whole time. Couple more moments here, asking your soul if there's anything else it wants to share with you, any last messages your body wants you to know. You can remain in this space a bit longer. Or you can journal what you've seen and what's shown up for you. The invitation today is to allow yourself to sit in that void of what it feels like to really create space. And to let that be okay, even if it's uncomfortable. And to really allow yourself permission to show up as you. Have a beautiful day.